Hello everybody, welcome back to Planet X News, January 2nd, 2018. I hope everybody had a very happy New Year's and a safe New Year's. Ladies and gentlemen, over the past couple of days, I've been receiving a tremendous amount of emails and questions, naturally, all related to the current weather situation that we're having in the United States, related to this so-called polar vortex that has sunk very, very deep into the United States. Temperatures dropping very, very low, below freezing and sub-zero temperatures. I believe there was a temperature that was recorded in New Hampshire with a wind chill factor below minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold. Now, I'm not a meteorologist, but I've been studying weather for more than 20 years. So I think I know a little bit about the subject because I do monitor the world weather every single day. And ladies and gentlemen, what I'm seeing right now, some people may dispute my findings, and that's perfectly fine. But when meteorologists around the world are just absolutely confused about what is happening, that kind of makes you wonder. They've never seen this before. No one in the world has seen this before, at least not in this lifetime. But what we're looking at right now is a current model, and this is showing us this deep polar vortex as it dips down into the entire United States. What is the reason? Why is this happening? Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've gone over many times and we've talked about the extreme earth tilt or the earth wobble. Again, some people will dispute this fact. Some people will agree with you. The fact of the matter is, in order for this type of weather to dip down this far into the United States, something above the U.S.-Canadian border, something up there has to go wrong. Something up there has to push this amount of Arctic air down into the United States. Now, it's taken a couple of days of analyzing all of this and, gathering more and more data. And what we're seeing, let me get my cursor here. If you pay attention way up here, you're going to see in this section right up here, this very deep red, orange, and light yellow color come into play right up here. Now, that is a high pressure, a very unusual high pressure, meaning much warmer air was flowing up through Alaska and the western coast of Canada. It literally made its way in and caused a major disruption in this Arctic weather, which normally stays along the Canadian and U.S. border. And yes, we do know it is winter time. And these states right up around here along the border, yes, they normally do get pretty cold temperatures. But these temperatures are just, these are temperatures that you would literally see in the North Pole, in the extreme parts of the North Pole. Now, this model doesn't expand out up over here, but I'm going to show you another model, and you'll see where this is coming from. We're also going to take a quick look at the Earth's axis and wobble, and this is up to date. So we'll be taking a close look at this, and I'll show you what is happening. A lot of the other questions are, when is this going to end? Well, that's a good question. Right now, I don't see this ending anytime soon in the month of January. And yes, again, it is January. It is supposed to be cold. But ladies and gentlemen, we've never seen these types of Arctic drops in this polar vortex. Now, you know, sometimes this polar vortex, it gets down here and it gets into parts of these states right around in here. And it's kind of natural. All of the lakes, the Great Lakes, they are already frozen over. Now, that was something meteorologists were talking about a few days ago. These Great Lakes have frozen over very, very early. Well, that's natural when you have this very, very severe, very, very cold Arctic air continually blowing over the lake's surface areas. So, this very large high pressure that was way up here near Alaska and the west coast of Canada, this is what is causing all of this cold air to be pushed very far south. Now, I don't know if any of you remember what happened last year. Last year, almost around the same time, we saw this same polar vortex or Arctic vortex of air push very, very far in a large dip right through the United States. Now, last year, the day after Christmas, where I live in the Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania area, the day after Christmas, we had temperatures at 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the reason why we had those temperatures is because that polar vortex dipped far down and the cutoff point was about right through mid-Ohio, right through the state of Ohio. So half of Ohio had warm temperatures as well as the entire East Coast. But that didn't last long. Things changed very, very quickly a few days later. So this, what we're looking at right here, is going to be lasting all the way through January 18th. That's as far as the model goes. So we can probably consider the rest of January 2018 to be very, very cold. Now, there may be a few days of relief coming to parts of the East Coast. That would probably be, let's see, as the model pushes over, maybe around the 14th, 15th, 16th of January. But then the rest of this polar vortex is going to come in. It's going to dip very, very far south, and we're going to continue to see this type of weather. What will February bring? Once again, folks, this is up in the air. It's up in the air for weather around the world. People in different countries are going to see weather anomalies like they've never seen before, and this is to be expected. For the last 2 years, I've gone over this information with everybody following Planet X News, and I've talked frequently about what is happening with our weather. And this is probably something that we are going to have to get used to, and we're going to have to be prepared for extreme heat and extreme cold. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of here, and we're going to pull up this weather map and this model. Now, something that has me very concerned is a large formation of weather that's going to be forming right here off of the east coast of the United States. It almost looks like a hurricane, and we'll be getting into that soon. Now, the high pressure that I was talking about, it's not on this map, but you can see the temperatures, and this is all up to date right now, Tuesday. The time is just a little after 5 a.m. If you click on these temperatures here, it will show you 46 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's click over here, 44 degrees Fahrenheit. Let's click over here next to the coast of Washington, 49 degrees. Let's click over here, 54 degrees. Now you can see the pattern of air in this jet stream. And this is really actually not showing you the jet stream, but the pattern of the air. You can see how warm this air is, and you can see its circulation. This has literally pushed in directly into central Canada, where the majority of all of this air, this Arctic air, is. And if we look up here in the extreme parts of Canada, going into the Arctic region, let's take a look at the temperatures. 25 degrees, minus 26 degrees. Okay, it's minus 26 degrees in this extreme portion of the Arctic. Minus 26 up here. Let's take a look down here. Minus 18. Minus 16. Let's go to Indiana. Minus 14. Minus 12. So our temperatures are almost the same as the extreme parts of northern Canada and getting into the Arctic, the northern pole area. That's pretty extreme. Now, as I back out here, all of this warm air, this high pressure that was rolling in and literally pushed in here. And remember, I showed you on the other graph that orange and yellow that was coming in here. That is what is pushing all of this air downward. This is what is causing this polar vortex to sink into the United States. But that's not the only cause. And we're going to be getting back to this map in a minute, because I'm going to show you what's going to be occurring, and that's going to affect the entire northern east coast of the United States, getting up into Canada, British Columbia, and possibly affecting parts of Europe. And it may be very, very dangerous. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our globe. And I'm going to go ahead and show you this jet stream. This is current right now. So let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit here. And you can see these very, very thick bands in our jet stream. And this is coming off of the eastern coast of the United States. But let's get over here and let's pay attention to what's happening over here in the northern Pacific. As I mentioned, that high pressure that was right here, where the temperatures were very, very warm, unseasonably warm for this area. You can see how thick this band of our jet stream is. It's massive. It's actually about 3 times the size of what we normally see in our jet stream. You can see as this part of the jet stream rolls up through here, and it is literally pushing all of that cold air straight down into the United States. This is a very, very similar pattern to what we saw last year around the same time. So this is what we're going to be living with for quite a long time, folks. There's no doubt about it. Now, the same thing is happening on the other side of the globe. They are seeing very, 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 very cold temperatures in parts of northern India and all through Russia, China. I mean, it's dipping down into all of these countries. So I'm going to go ahead and show you our temperatures. And this is something that I want to show you. Okay, now again, this is all current. Now you can see the green, these are moderate temperatures. You know, these would be in the 40s and 50s, and you know, you get into the yellow, it's going to be in the 60s, and the darker orange, that would be in the 70s and 80s. So, you know, you would figure, yes, this type of temperature is normal, and it is. But you can see how far all of this Arctic air has pushed down into the United States. If we take a top view look at the North Pole, you can see how far this has spread. But if you notice, it is spread straight up and down like this, but not off to the sides. You would figure that this would be a pretty well-rounded swath of Arctic air all around here. But it's not forming like this. And this is the same formation that we saw last year, almost identical. We're also seeing some very extreme heat in Australia, where temperatures are exceeding 100, 105, 110 degrees every single day. Yes, I do realize that it is Australia, it is summertime, but ladies and gentlemen, these temperatures in Australia, once again, third year in a row, are so extreme. These are damaging temperatures, and there is no end in sight. It's probably going to get a little bit hotter. So you ask why? Why is it so hot in Australia, which is literally right now the hottest place on the planet? If you take a look at the Earth and we see the equator represented by this line, here's about where our Earth is tilted, well, just about where it should be tilted. But if you tilt our Earth back just a little bit more, you're now exposing almost the entire United States to less direct energy from the sun, which means less direct heat. And then, if you roll the planet around and you bring Australia up here, and you have this continual extreme tilt, well, where do you bring Australia? You bring Australia almost up near the equator, which would be the hottest temperatures on the planet. So we've seen this occur over the last 2 years in Australia, and here we are in 2018, and it is occurring again. Now, I've had some people ask, well, why isn't this happening in South America, in the lower tier, the most southern portion of South America? Well, take a look right here at the Antarctica. They're getting a lot of the weather and the coolness from the Antarctic. Now, there are some pretty high temperatures right here in the center of South America in some of these countries, but not as extreme as what's being seen in Australia. So this is going to continue. And you can see here how far the this polar vortex has sunk all the way down into northern India. Last year, this happened, and many people perished from freezing to death in India because they're just not prepared for this type of weather. So this is what is occurring right now. This high pressure is going to continue to move in and push more of this cold air straight down from the North Pole and northern tiers of Canada straight into the United States. Now, folks, if we lived in the perfect world and our equator was exactly where it is right now, we wouldn't be going through this in almost 2/3 of the United States. So, you know, if you just take a globe and you tilt it a little more forward this way, now all of that air, that Arctic air, stays way up here. But if you tilt the Earth back just a little bit more than it should be, you're now exposing the entire country of the United States to these deep dips in this subarctic air coming from the North Pole. And the temperatures in the North Pole, I mean, they're extreme. They should be much more extreme, but they're not. All of these extreme temperatures are now making their way through Canada and directly into the United States. So this is something that we are going to continue to see. It's not going anywhere. And, you know, talking about the Earth wobble, this is our current axis model. And this shows you the extreme wobble of the Earth from 2013 going into 2018, represented by these colors. It's all color coded. So you can see in 2016, our wobble was pretty extreme. And in 2016, if you guys don't remember, we had a pretty extreme summer in the United States. It was very, very hot. 2017, you can see the same timeline through April, May, June, July. Our wobble went the opposite way. And we had a pretty mild summer in the United States. As we progressed through 2017, and we got into September, October, November, and then in December, you can see this wobble is now expanding outward. And here's where we are today. So you can see very clearly why this is happening. Our Earth is wobbling. It is definitely tilting more than the 23.5 to 25.5 degrees. The scientists lead us to believe that's all that happens. But ladies and gentlemen, we know that's not the case. Now, getting back to this map, I'm going to go ahead and let this play out. And this model is going to go ahead and start running out. And I'm going to go ahead and bring up the wind here. Now, there is a massive system right here moving towards Alaska, the west coast of Canada, but it seems like it's going to move directly up between Russia and Alaska. This may push more warm air into Western Canada. However, I'm going to go ahead and jump back here for just a second. You're going to see this system start to form right here off of the east coast of the United States. Now, this model may change. I'm going to go ahead and just stop this right here. Let's go ahead and jump back just a little bit. You take a look at this system, I mean, that looks like a hurricane. There is the potential for this system to move inland. Let's go ahead and just zoom in here a little bit. If this system moves inland, this is going to be very, very, very damaging to coastal cities such as Boston, New York City, all along the Jersey Shore, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, all of these coastal cities. Depending if this actually moves in a little bit more, well, let's just say this can stir massive nor'easters. This can be a pretty bad weather system. As of right now, the models are taking it, and we'll go ahead and watch it. The models are taking it up into Canada, and I'm going to go ahead and pan out here, and we're going to see this system make some pretty weird movements if you just follow it. Now it seems to break apart, and this is going into the 7th and the 8th of January. Now you can see this huge wall of weather going straight towards the UK, but it seems like they're going to dodge a bullet, but maybe not, because the second phase of this comes in and the weather models stop at Thursday, January 11th. So there is a lot of weather out there over the next 2 weeks that we're going to have to pay very, very close attention to, because some of these weather systems, ladies and gentlemen, If you live over in Europe, Portugal, Spain, France, the UK, Scotland, any of these areas along the Atlantic, the potential for very, very damaging weather is on the way over the next 2 weeks. Now, with all weather systems, naturally, this can all change. As far as the United States goes, ladies and gentlemen, these Arctic temperatures are not going to end probably for the entire month of January. So my best advice is to make sure that you are prepared. If you're traveling, even on your day-to-day going back and forth to work, make sure that you have some type of emergency roadside kit in your car. You can pick them up online. You can buy them at Walmart. You can buy them at your local auto parts store. I would definitely have an emergency kit in the trunk of your car to make sure if anything happens, you don't freeze to death or you don't end up with frostbite, because there are many, many cases of this that are occurring right now in the United States. Emergency rooms are, flooded with people with hypothermia, with frostbite, heart attacks. This is very extreme weather for us here in the United States. And we're going to have to go through this throughout the whole entire month of January. So we will see how things pan out over the next 30 days. And heed my warnings, folks. Make sure you're prepared. Now, we've seen, a lot of cases of people with their pipes freezing in your house. It just happened to me over the weekend. And it took almost 24 hours to get these pipes unfrozen. You may see electrical failures in some of your areas. Do not try to wait out the electric being turned back on. Get to a friend's house or a relative's house where they're not experiencing a power outage. Go to a warming station. Do not try to fight this type of Arctic air. You will lose. There's no doubt about it. So we're going to be keeping a very, very close eye on what is happening with the weather for the entire month of January. I think it's very, very important that all of us do this. Pay attention to the weather. Do not become a statistic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for all of your Happy New Year wishes. Dr. Albers and I thank you very, very much for following us here on Planet X News. And we're going to be coming up with a lot more new discoveries. There's no doubt about that, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be staying on top of everything happening around the globe. This is what we do. This is Scott from Planet X News. Thank you for watching.